Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys a wrap-up of all of the graphic novels that I read this weekend, and I was able to get to all of them, so that's really exciting. And so, yeah, let's just start with the first one on the top. The first book that I read was Exquisite by Penelope Bhagu. I think that's how you say the author's name. This is a French graphic novel that was translated by Alexis Siegel, and I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a brief, like relationship whirlwind between Zoe and this author here. Zoe is a booth girl, and so what that means is let me see a page. Here's a good one. So she works as, I guess, kind of like a model. For this one, she's dressed up like cheese because they're at like a cheese event or a cheese fair, and they just look pretty, and they take pictures with old guys that are at the event. And I think we have that here too for car shows, like in Vegas or whatever. You'll have all those girls in like the little get-ups, and they just stand around the cars and model in front of the cars and then take pictures of them. I'm not sure what else they do, but yeah, so she's a booth girl, and she really hates her job. It just is so unfulfilling, and her boyfriend that she lives with is just gross, and he doesn't do anything, and she feels like he doesn't love her, and so she is really a romantic at heart, and she wants to be swept off her feet. And one day she meets this man who is an author of like adult contemporary, and they end up, you know, having a relationship, and then she meets his ex-wife, which is also his editor, and then it's like not a threesome, but they all hang out for a bit, and then the ending is absolutely amazing. They get back at the author for being a douchebag. But yeah, I really liked the book as a whole, and like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book that I read, or graphic novel that I read, is The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, and it's written by Benjamin Harper and Calero. What is his first name? I forgot. Dennis Calero. And the cool thing about both the author and illustrator is that they have both worked in the comic business for a while. The author has worked for Lucasfilms and DC Comics, and Calero is still working for Marvel. So that was fun. Look at that back. I have an Instagram pic of this. It's so gorgeous. So basically this book is the short story written by Edgar Allan Poe. If you have read it, then you know exactly what happens in the book. It's about a man who lives with an older gentleman, and he thinks his eye is evil. So here is the main character. I love the fact that all of these pictures are very Pulp Fiction-esque, and also the fact that the entire book is drawn or colored in grays and browns for reality, and then anything that has to do with the man's evil eye is in blue. And let me see, there's a really good like screaming scene in here that I just loved. Just like look at that face. Where is it? I mean, look at it. There we go. Where you see it? He's just so angry, and the eye is just creeping him out, and he hates it. I loved the illustrations so much. I want to look up more things from Dennis Calero. And at the very end of the book, which I thought was really cool, is the fact that there are visual questions on these two pages, and it just the author and the illustrator asking the reader to be more interactive in the experience of reading it. So this one says, why do you think we put a spotlight on the man in some of the panels that we drew? And in the right panel, we see the old man's eye. Why do you think the creators of this comic chose to mirror their faces next to each other on pages 22 and 23? So it's just like little questions that you can think about while reading or after the fact. And these are 4 books that go along with like this series. I really want to get The Fall of the House of Usher because I am familiar with that story. The other two books I haven't read those short stories yet, but sadly all 4 books don't have the same author and illustrator, so I don't know how those illustrations would look, but I really did enjoy this particular one. Alright, the next book I want to talk about is Here, and this is by Richard McGuire. This was a very strange graphic novel. As you can see, it's really fat. It's got tons of pages. It's very artistic in a way, and it starts off, let me just show you the first page. It starts off with 1957. And as you can see, it's like a living room, and everything is pink. And so it sticks to those colors when it talks about all the different time periods. And then we go to the next page, and this is 2007, so it's the same living room, different furniture and everything. I mean, the fireplace is still in its original place, but now everything's yellow. And that's how the book continues on. So you see each page is a different date stamp in the corner, and it shows this same living room. But sometimes it'll show a forest, because this is 1553, so the house hasn't even been built yet, and this is what the space around the house looks like before the house was built in 1907. So you have this, and then you have this little box here, and this is 1992, and that person is in the living room and they're reading a book. So it's very, you have to look at everything on every single page because there's little date stamps on every corner of every box, so you know what's going on. And throughout the book, there's kind of like a dialogue going, so you follow a person's story throughout the pages. And then you have like this scene where this in 1983 someone broke the window, and then this person in 1991 is tying his shoe and his lace broke, and so he's angry. And then this person is fighting with this man in 1910, and so it's kind of like anger or destruction, or like, you know, so, like things are breaking or happening throughout all of the time periods, but they're still in the same space. Does that make sense? I just thought it was fascinating. I really did enjoy reading and looking at all of the different dates of each page. This one here is 110,000 BCE, so you just see land, but then in each box is a different time period. And so very fun to read. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I liked it, and I'm interested in, you know, reading more by this author. The next book I read was Blue Bloods, and this is by Melissa Dela Cruz. This is the first book in her Blue Bloods series. I don't know how many books there are in the series, maybe 6 or 7 maybe. This is adapted by Robert Venditti and Alina Orosov, and I didn't enjoy the first couple pages because I couldn't see anything. It was all super tightly drawn, and then everything was in cursive, and so it freaked me out that I was gonna have to read cursive the whole time, because with cursive I can read it and write in cursive, but you kind of have to squint to like see what each letter is. But then it goes on to being in modern day, and then you have the nice big bold print. But the fact that each character has its own little box that says who they are and what they do was kind of weird. But then again, I was able to go back and look up the person and how they're related to so-and-so, because there are a lot of characters in this book. It reminded me of a lot of different kinds of YA supernatural books, kind of like The Fallen by Lauren Kate, The Mortal Instruments, in the way that this girl doesn't know who she is and how she relates to the supernatural, and then kind of like Beautiful Creatures, where there is a person that, you know, knows about them, but they're kind of like a mundane, and they help keep everything secret. So yeah, anyways, I liked the drawings. They're very Barbie-ish. All the girls are super pretty, which is, you know, there are some people that are ugly in life, and all of the people are pretty in this book. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this. Like, it made me really want to pick up the other books now that I know kind of what it's about. But on the other hand, there's a lot of teen drama, which is really obnoxious. So I don't know. I might pick up the book in the future. I might not. Who knows? I gave it 3 stars. All right, the last 2 books that I saved for last were my favorites out of the weekend. And the first one I'll talk about is Honor Girl by Maggie Thrash. This is a memoir of her coming out and coming of age story. Maggie went to a church camp every single summer forever. And one summer when she is 15, she meets a camp counselor named Aaron, and she realizes that she could be gay. Aaron touches her hair during a lice check, and she is so obsessed with this touch that she becomes like stalkerish, and like follows Aaron around. And Aaron is 19, so she's older, you know, and that is illegal, but they kind of get together whenever they can. But then Aaron knows that she shouldn't actually go through with anything because she is an adult and Maggie is a teenager, and again, that's illegal. And so she kind of waits a couple years before they talk again, but Maggie continues to be too afraid and awkward about the whole situation. And at the end, that kind of felt unfulfilled. Like, I was hoping that something would happen between her and Aaron, and nothing really did. It was more of a sisterly thing, but at the same time you can tell that they are attracted to each other. And so yeah, it's just their summer experience and her, you know, Maggie finding out that she actually does have feelings for girls, even though before this she didn't know that she had feelings for boys. I'm assuming because, you know, she liked the Backstreet Boys. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It was good. I can't relate to it because I'm straight, but I enjoyed reading her experience, and so yeah. And the very last book that I read this weekend is called Relish, My Life in the Kitchen by Lucie Nicely. And I absolutely adored this graphic novel. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. This is Lucie's memoir of her time as a kid growing up in the food industry. Her mom was a chef, and all of her mom's friends worked in kitchens or what have you. And it just goes through Lucie's life as, you know, her events revolve around food. So I thought that was fun. It also has a lot of recipes that I really enjoyed. So that was really cool. My battery is going to die. So definitely pick up Relish if you can. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I think she's a great writer. Of course, she illustrated all of this herself, and a new one is coming out in May that I'm looking forward to reading. And yeah, check it out if you like food and if you like memoirs. And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. The next book that I read was Here by Richard McGuire. I feel like my happiness is going away.